Well, let's stay with matters involving state capture, and my colleague Michelle Craig is live at Parktown, which is the venue of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Mish, good morning to you once again. So one of the topics that the evidence leader said he would explore among the many, that of the director's declaration of interest. And of course, Jabu Mabuza certainly comes across as someone who is quite honest and transparent in as far as conflicts of interest are concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there was sort of a moment of lightness there, Koli. Good morning to you and to our viewers as well. A moment of lightness there as we built up to the tea break, but also a moment that was steeped in really the challenges that we've been facing at Eskom, where Jabu Mabuza said, you know, this declaration of interests includes him saying, I'm related to my wife by marriage. My wife is related to her brothers, and I'm related to them through the marriage as well. And there was this issue around a mining company that the Mabuza family had at one stage wanted to get involved in. Long story short, the point that he comes to, he says, as Eskom board chair, he actually no longer sits in on any meetings concerning coal. That's just as seriously as he takes this declaration of interest, as seriously as he takes this issue of keeping his nose clean at every single turn. But we've got some help here in unpacking this very important testimony of the new Eskom board chair, Jabu Mabuza. Karima Brown is here with us. Karima, I mean, you can tell just from that moment at the end there, how seriously he takes this issue of he must be seen to be completely impartial in the way he conducts his affairs.
I think it's absolutely critical because we must, of course, understand the appointment of Mr. Mabuza in a particular context. He is was appointed at the height of state capture. Remember, it was Lynn Brown that still called him. Former President Jacob Zuma was still the president at the time. But the difference was that President Ramaphosa was now the president of the party and was getting ready to go to Davos, and the board of Eskom could not remain the same. They couldn't make a case for investment in South Africa because of the way in which Eskom had exposed the entire economy because of its debt. So Mr. Mabuza knows that if he is found to be in any way compromised, the entire project of reform at Eskom falls flat. And I think what he did today is what needs to happen with every single board head. We need to get a complete list of their interests. We need to get lifestyle audits. We need to know that the cleanup is genuine. It's not just another arrangement for people to get to the trough quicker and sooner. And I think Mr. Mabuza has set an example by doing that, and he should be commended for doing that. But I think we need to insist that this becomes a practice. This should not be an exception.
I mean, it's bizarre that it isn't just the norm, but I want to just continue with, I mean, I'm saying that it's a short time that he's been appointed Eskom board chair. It's been over a year now, yes. But that particular time was an interesting time in South Africa's history. You've outlined it somewhat just now, but we've just come from Nasrec. There were these two centers of power that we at that stage unpacked extensively. What was the sort of important part about the fact that Jabu Mabuza was in fact appointed by Cyril Ramaphosa using his influence as the new ANC president?
I think it was absolutely critical. You must remember Mr. Mabuza said to us he was on his way to Davos to actually represent a different company, and he got a call. And of course that happened after a very long NEC discussion. So what we saw there was that Mr. Mabuza's appointment and the attempt to clean up Eskom was one of the top priorities on the ANC president of the time, Cyril Ramaphosa, emerging with such a narrow margin but making this huge move to demonstrate that as party leader he is going to, of course, be making all the decisions. But it also signaled to us that the ANC had lost patience with the then President Jacob Zuma Zuma, the moves were afoot to actually get him to not serve out his full term. Because remember, he's supposed to have served out his full term. And by that time, we got a real sense that the new African National Congress president was not going to allow Mr. Zuma to deliver that SONA address. And of course, that was a time of high drama in our country because President Zuma at the time was very unwilling, very unhappy. He spoke so publicly on the SABC. So this was a big test for Cyril Ramaphosa, but more importantly for that NEC, because he didn't command all that support, but what he was able to do was to immediately effect change and get everyone to understand that unless Eskom is seen to be changing, they have no story to tell at Davos. And of course we see now with the budget that has just been passed, Eskom remains the big danger for the South African economy. Rating agencies such as Moody's and so on are warning that unless Eskom gets its situation under control, South Africa's ratings are going to be affected. So it was the first move that the former deputy president of the ANC, when he became president, made, and it was the first indication that we got that President Jacob Zuma was on his way out.
And of course, who can forget that Valentine's Day decision when we all heard him say what the next step for him would be. Thanks very much for that. Karima Brown is live to us here from the State Capture Inquiry. Kholi, as you would know, this tea break is incredibly short, so I keep looking over my shoulder just to check whether Justice Raymond Zondo is in fact walking in, which he will be doing in just a few moments' time. So that's where we'll leave it for now. Jabu Mabuza is back on the stand as soon as we resume.